I have in fact completed all of the Watch Dogs games. It's just taken me so long to get this one up. I completed it a long time ago by me recording this, and even longer by the time you're watching this because that's how time works. But something just didn't land quite the same. The first one, I know a lot of people have issues with the driving. It was terrible, yeah, I agree. And some felt that Aiden Pearce was, just generic, bland, white male protagonist, which was kind of the thing at the time. I'm not going to blame Ubisoft too much for just following the trend on that one. But I don't quite think he was entirely bland. I think there's a lot of interesting elements to his character that could have been developed more, and they were down the line. We'll get to that, I'm sure. But I do understand it wasn't as compelling a protagonist as some people would have liked. I totally understand that. We all know that the best character from that game is Geordie, and the fact he turns up later in the series is an absolute delight. So with the sequel, the idea of it's a team now. It's not just one person. It's not a revenge mission. It's taking back the city of San Francisco. And even though we don't control Sitara or Josh or Horatio or Wrench or anyone else, we only control Marcus, but we feel that connection to the DedSec team in San Francisco. We know who these people are. We spend a lot of time in cutscenes. We spend some time, sort of palling around with them, having fun in the early part before it gets serious. And it's the reason that even though it took me a few goes at it, it's the reason I kept coming back, because those characters were interesting to me. I wanted to finish their story. I wasn't prepared for the heartbreak that would come, but that's its own issue, and I'm sure I talked about it in the review. I can't remember. Probably did. But when it came to the third entry, Legion, I mean, the good things, yeah, I will go through those a bit first. Finally taking it out of America. We've been to Chicago, we've been to San Francisco, now we're coming this side of the pond. And, I mean, obviously, I don't live in America. I don't live in London, but I've visited there a lot more than America. And as a surface kind of, does it basically seem like London? Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be a one-to-one scale. That'd be ridiculous. But it's passable enough, and the cars are driving on the correct side of the road. They didn't forget to put that bit in. So it was different. It was interesting. It was new. However, one of the selling points, I think, is also its downfall, and it's why it took me so long to actually get this video out. I love the idea of, just walking down the street, random old lady, hey, do you want to join my cause? And there she's on your team. I like that in principle. However, I think if there was a smaller pool that you could draw from, and you could still tailor those characters a lot more than you can in the game. I know you can do certain things, but you can't just build a character. You can't build it like you could build Marcus or Aiden to fit your playstyle. In Legion, if you want a car, switch to an operative who's got a car. If you don't, just boot people out of theirs. If you need to go in guns blazing, find an operative or, switch to an operative with weapons training and hopefully a weapon as well. If you need stealth, go to an operative who is good at stealth. There was no real stakes in some way. I mean, I played with the permadeath mode on, so if an operative was taken out, that's it. I do think it's like super easy mode if you don't have that on in some ways, because you can just build a team of operatives who you might have one drop out because they failed a mission, so they need to recover for a few or something. I don't know how it works because I didn't play with that style. But, you maybe lose them for a few missions, but you would have them back. So you could just build a perfect team to cover every base, and you wouldn't have to worry. You just might make the next mission slightly harder, but you've got someone who can fill in. With permadeath, you're like, oh no, that was a really good operative. That was a really stupid move. And some people will save scum and just go back, but, I tried to avoid that. But that's the thing. That's the only way I could actually put any stakes to it. But even then, wander around enough and like, oh, there's an operative who's exactly what I need, actually. Let's hire them. So, its selling point was its downfall. Who am I rooting for? Who am I meant to care for? There were certain NPCs who were guiding the plot forward, but I'm not building the same connection. I'm just in cutscenes going, oh yeah, tell me the plot. Okay, now on to the next mission. I liked the story expansion with Aiden. I did enjoy that a lot. But again, having him suddenly on your team, it suddenly changes the game where you've got someone of that level, and with the Wrench addition as well. But yeah, it's why it took me so long. I wanted to like this. Like I say, conceptually, brilliant. Execution, not so much. If Ubisoft ever want to go back to something like this, I think making a small pool of specific characters, something like the DedSec of San Francisco, where you could control all of them. Say you're controlling Marcus and he's arrested, you then switch to Sitara. So you have to do some missions with her to give it time for Marcus to come out. So then you'll build that relationship, but then you are also seeing those cutscenes where they're all together, and that relationship dynamic will still take place. But you feel a lot more connected to all of these characters. So it gives the best of both worlds. That's how I would do it, but I'm not a game designer. I don't know how much easier the one is over the other. Surely a whole bunch of randomly generated characters is easier because you just put in some kind of spreadsheet or database and you code it to select things from each bit and make a character. It's probably a lot easier than actually making a character in full. But I don't know, like I say, I'm not a game designer, that's just my quick thoughts now. But I did enjoy it for the most part. I know I paused then, but I did enjoy it for the most part, which is why it still was on my list as a video I wanted to talk about. It wasn't just obligation because I've talked about the first two. Although getting it out now is because I want to talk about another Ubisoft game that, strangely enough, also mostly takes place in England. And I felt weird not clearing this off my slate first. So, Watch Dogs Legion, if you've played the other two, you'll enjoy it because it's mostly more of the same. But I don't know if I could recommend it outside of that. I don't think it really does anything worthy on its own merits, let's put it that way. And I do want Ubisoft to come back to the franchise and do it better. But like I say, I've cleared this off my slate now. I can move forward and I can actually do the video that I was originally wanting to do once I got this out of the way. So I hope you'll join me for that and everything else coming in the future. But until next time, as always, thank you for watching and take care.